So not only are you the Power 5 conference with the most parity, you're the Power 5 conference that can put a game. What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith with College Game Time, back with another video here on the College Game Time YouTube channel. Today, I'm talking about 3 things that are bulletproofing the Big 12. Really kind of diving into how those things are making this conference bulletproof in a time where it can start to seem like shaky ground in the landscape of college football if you're not the Big 10 or the SEC. But the Big 12 is on to something. That's what I want to get into. But before I do, please hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment at the end and share it with a friend. And if you're feeling generous right now and want to support what we're building here at College Game Time, please leave a super thanks. Your generosity is very much appreciated. Okay, let's dive in right now. What is the Big 12 doing, or do they need to do to become bulletproof in these uncertain times with college expansion, realignment, all this fun stuff? And the first thing the Big 12 needs to continue doing, which they are doing, is expansion. That's one piece that's going to make them bulletproof because of what their approach has been, right? They've already got Cincinnati, a playoff team a couple years ago. They've got Houston, who I believe will become a national brand again in a power conference, already has a powerhouse basketball program, and they've got UCF, where Central Florida, man, their location, what they have, their ceiling in a Power 5 conference, I believe, is incredibly high. So on the football side of things, they've enhanced the product there. But where they've really been doubling down is on the basketball product. The Big 12 is in the process of becoming, I believe, the top go-to basketball conference in the country. I've been talking about that. I've got previous videos where I've explored that. I'm going to explore the finances of that on this video in just a second. But here's the other, I think, X factor that could really help boost the football brand of the Big 12, and it's getting Colorado in. I think that's very close to happening. The Pac-12 has nothing on the table right now. I know we get all these different conflicting reports. Oh, everyone's ready to sign the GOR. Oh, there's a deal in place. Oh, the numbers are comparable to the Big 12. No, they're not. Pac-12 right now, they're scrambling. They're ducks above water, and I think Colorado is about done waiting. And reportedly, allegedly, the Big 12 has given teams like Arizona and Colorado a July 1st deadline to make a decision to basically make a move or don't. It would benefit Colorado to join the Big 12. And the reason why is, first off, the Coach Prime effect. Okay, if they want to solidify their head coach, who's already brought in an insane amount of national exposure to a program that was 1-11, who's already brought in top tier recruits to a program that was 1-11. If they want to keep him long term, like beyond his sons graduating, they need to join the Big 12. Deion Sanders wants to be back in the Texas footprint. He has very deep ties, deep roots in the state of Texas. Now, but I'm not saying they should just make the move for one coach, right? Coaches come and go. Look at the history of Colorado football. At one point, they were a national brand. At one point, they were a national champion. They did that as a part of the Big 8, which eventually evolved into the Big 12 when it merged with the Southwest Conference. Let's look at the past decade. Has Colorado really taken steps forward in football since joining the Pac-12? No. Yeah, they had one anomaly season, I think it was, when they played in the Pac-12 championship. But outside of that, they have gone backwards. Joining the Big 12 and getting back in the Texas footprint would change that for them. Then you throw in the fact that you've got Coach Prime, Deion Sanders in the mix, and that would help establish his long-term stay. I think you have to do it. If you're Colorado, I'm saying. Big 12, I think they're aggressively trying to get it right now. You know, the Big 12 needs that for their football side of things. So then you throw in Colorado. I believe Arizona's also on the fence. And now that's going to enhance the basketball brand. I made a video yesterday talking about the discussions are heating up as it pertains to UConn joining the Big 12. And that kind of leads me to my next point here as far as bulletproofing the Big 12 is the basketball money. It's kind of overlooked because football certainly drives the ship. Football is, that's why the Big Ten and the SEC are in the position they're in as it pertains to media negotiations, revenue, and all that stuff, because they have the best football product. However, and I'll touch on this a little bit, it's really because both of those conferences are extremely top heavy, right? So let me not get ahead of myself. Let me digress back to basketball. There is a lot of money to be made in college basketball. And if you have the number one basketball conference in the country, not only can you use that in media negotiations, but you can bring in potentially a significant amount of money for your conference in the month of March. I want to take you back to 2011 here. In the Big East Conference, which without question was the number one basketball conference in the country during that time frame. And in 2011, they put 11 teams in the NCAA tournament. Now, here's why that's significant, is because the conference gets paid per unit of teams that make and play in the NCAA tournament as they advance. So, for example, this 11 team, and the way it was laid out on the bracket, right, because not all 11 teams can advance every round, because eventually they're going to have to play each other depending on where they're bracketed. But with this particular layout, they had a possible 38 units they could have earned. That would have been $76 million to the conference just for 1 month. They ended up getting 21 units, and the money I'm talking about is the current rates per unit, not what it was in 2011. But as of 2023, it was about $2 million per unit. And using those numbers with this bracket, the Big East actually ended up earning 21 units. So the Big East Conference would have earned in 2023 for that bracket $42 million just off March Madness, with a ceiling, a max of $76 million. Now, that gets paid out over 6 years, but think, the Big 12 with adding teams like Houston, possibly UConn, Arizona to go with Kansas, Kansas State, Baylor, Texas Tech, these programs who have become, what's the word I'm looking for? Perennial presence in the NCAA tournament. And I know I'm probably leaving some others out. Iowa State, right? It's not crazy to think that the Big 12 could be a regular 8 to 10 team a year playing in the NCAA tournament. And when you're putting that amount of teams in the NCAA tournament, depending on how the bracket shakes out, you're looking at earning between $42 and $76 million just off March Madness each year for the conference. And then those payouts, right? It's paid out over 6 years. And what's crazy about that $42 million, those 21 units that the Big East earned back in 2011, that was with two first round upsets. So, and I get it, it's March, that's going to happen. But 2 of those were first round upsets, I think Louisville and Georgetown. So the Big 12 is on the cusp of building a conference that could make some serious money for the conference just in March. And when you have that quality of a basketball conference, it also gives you leverage in negotiations for your next media deal, which will be in 2031, which, oh, by the way, is before the ACC's next negotiation. I know I'm getting way far ahead of myself, but that's just talking futuristically and diving into the numbers of how the Big 12 can bulletproof itself from being in a position like the Pac-12 is in right now, where they literally have no leverage in their media negotiations, or B, having to worry about other conferences coming and poaching from you, just like what happened a year ago with OU and Texas headed for the SEC. So the basketball money is there, and it could potentially be big. And then the final thing here, well, let's just talk about the Big East for a second, because it leads right into my final point. The Big East had the best basketball conference, earned 21 units with a possible of 38 units just in one tournament, and then they disbanded. What happened? Well, they didn't have a good enough football product. And at the end of the day, football drives the ship. The difference would be between the Big 12 building that power of a basketball conference versus the Big East in 2011 is the Big 12 will also have a quality football product. In fact, they would be the Power 5 conference with the most parity, right? Because the SEC Big Ten, like I said earlier, they're top heavy. Everybody knows that. It's a 2, 3, maybe 4 horse race every season for both of those conferences. SEC, it's usually a 2 horse race. Big Ten, maybe 3 or 4. And then with the new teams being additioned, okay, maybe, you throw USC in the mix with the Big Ten. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think Texas OU, I'm not seeing it, but hey, time will tell. I still think the SEC is going to be 2, 3 horse race with the Bamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, even though the LSU kind of has had a dip over the past few seasons, but with Brian Kelly, whatever. But the Big 12, top to bottom, like this is a quality football conference. Week in and week out, you're going to get good matchups. And for fans who have no vested interest, they're just watching college football on a Saturday and they're trying to decide between who they want to watch when it's not their team playing, they're going to go to what? The game they think is going to be the most competitive. Well, the Big 12, in my opinion, will be putting out the most competitive product week in and week out with the parity of the top to bottom you'll see with the football programs in this league. It won't be the same 2 or 3 teams every single year. And that creates interest. Then you throw on the fact if they do go get a UConn, if they do slide in there and go get San Diego State, and they're able to lure Arizona and Colorado, now you've got a coast-to-coast conference throwing in Central Florida as well, where you can put a game in every time zone. So not only are you the Power 5 conference with the most parity, you're the Power 5 conference that can put a game in every time zone. Both of those can be leveraged in media negotiations. And I think what Brett Yormark is doing is moving towards this so that when that 2031 time comes up, he's able to get a much more significant media deal than what he already has currently, leveraging his basketball product with his week in, week out parity and coast-to-coast football product. So I'm curious. Let me know what you think. I think the Big 12 is on course to bulletproofing itself. And I love it, man. It's talking season. It's June. We're almost into July. I think in the next 9 days, we will see a decision made by Arizona and Colorado, and I think it's going to be in the Big 12's favor. Let me know what you think in the comments. I love having the discussions. It just keep it coming. I'm out.